Assalamu alaikum. We're supposed to do mensuration. Mensuration may before we jump into the topic or the formulas of it, we're going to discuss what we're supposed to know as far as the Cambridge outline syllabus outline tells us. This is a screenshot straight out of the syllabus. Mensuration is just a fancy word for all those things which are mentioned on the left, which you can see over here. Let me circle it. ये charge है. The perimeter area, volume and surface area, all the things which are mentioned or highlighted in yellow are basically the two things that you're supposed to calculate: perimeter and area. And shapes are in green: triangle, rectangle, parallelogram, trapezium, cuboid, cylinder, prism. Basic area, volume, perimeter, or as some people like to call it, or perimeter, and surface area. ये तमाम चीज़ें जब आप कैलकुलेट करते हो, दैट्स मेंसुरेशन. अब बेसिक चीज़ें तो आपको बेसिक शेप्स सारी याद हैं. कई बच्चों को ये नहीं पता होता कि आर्क लेंथ जो कि इस तरह की एक शेप होती है सेक्टर में, ये जो आर्क लेंथ है इसको कैलकुलेट करना या इस पूरे सेक्टर का एरिया कैलकुलेट करना, ये भी इसके अंदर इंक्लूडेड है. तो लेट्स डिस्कस दैट. ये फार्मूला है, फार्मूलाज की लिस्ट है. दिस इज जूम्ड आउट पिक्चर ऑफ व्हाट यू सपोज टू नो. माइंड मैप बनाने के लिए दिस इज गुड. लेट्स जूम इन and discuss each and every shape in detail. This is a list of formulas. ठीक है, this is what you're supposed to know. On the left you'll see area formulas, right पे perimeter formulas. Triangle का area, so let me copy this. ये रहा. If you're supposed to calculate the area of a triangle, वो हमने सबसे पहली बुक में सीखा था. That's half into base into height. तो height ये जो the perpendicular लेंथ होती है फ्रॉम द टॉप टिल द बेस, दैट्स हाइट. तो हाफ इंटू बेस इंटू हाइट, इसमें बेस आपकी क्या है सी और हाइट आपकी एच है. तो दिस बिकम्स योर फार्मूला. ठीक है, अब आप वैल्यूज़ प्लग इन करते हुए यहाँ पे जो भी सी की वैल्यू होगी वो प्लग इन करोगे. अगर इसका आपने पेरीमीटर ढूंढना हो या perimeter, as once again some people like to call it, perimeter would be all three sides added together. Done. Square is the L square है. Basically because a square shape has 4 equal sides, right? ये कुछ इस तरह यूं. So if this is line L, we do not need to call this B. Why? Because every single side is equal. So if we're calling one length L, the other one is also going to be length L. L into L, which is L square, is the area of a square. Similarly, if you are supposed to calculate its perimeter, you're simply going to add it 4 times, or you can write 4L, right? Rectangle similarly is going to be, it is going to be a stretched, basically a stretched square is a rectangle. So this is a rectangle now, right? If I were to give this, then call it length L and call this W width. So length into width, which is LW or L into W, that's going to be your area, right? And what is the perimeter going to be? We're going to add this length twice, length plus W plus W. Or we can also call this W breadth, which is B. So 2 into length plus breadth is your formula for the perimeter of a rectangle. Circle is pi r square. You're going to you will have to memorize that as it is. A semicircle is half a circle, so that's going to be pi r square divided by 2. When you're supposed to calculate the perimeter of a semicircle, we don't call it perimeter anymore. If it's a circle or a semicircle, we call it circumference. Circumference formula is 2 pi r for a complete circle. So what is the formula going to be for a semicircle? Since we're discussing semicircle, right? So this is the formula for the perimeter of a semicircle. So 2 pi r divided by 2. Why will we do that? Because it's not a complete circle. Complete circle's formula is 2 pi r. If we divide that value by 2, what are we left with pi r? So this pi r comes over here. If you notice, it's color coded. The orange part, which is this part up here, right? This can be calculated through pi r, and the purple part, which is down here, can be calculated through this formula 2r. Why are we writing 2r? Because basically we're adding radius twice to complete the shape. The circumference or the perimeter of a shape basically means the outer boundary. The outer boundary of a 2D shape is called the perimeter or the circumference. So in this case, if we add pi r, which is this length from here till here, into 2r, which is from here till here, we'll end up enclosing the entire shape. Similarly, trapezium's formula is half into height into sum of parallel sides. Now, what is a trapezium? Let's make that over here. We don't have the shape of a trapezium, so we'll have to make one. Anyways, this is what a trapezium looks like. A typical trapezium, an isosceles trapezium. There are other kinds of trapeziums as well. तो इसके जो ऊपर से लेके नीचे तक दो पैरेलल साइड्स के दरमियान जो इसकी लेंथ होती है, that's called height. That goes over here. And this can be called P1, parallel side 1 and parallel side 2. The sum of these goes in over here. And if you compute this, you're going to end up with the area. How do we calculate its perimeter? We simply add up all four sides. Now, parallelogram, the formula for parallelogram is base into height. Why is it so similar to the formula that we have up here of rectangle? The reason is, let's make one over here. The reason is because it is kind of a bent rectangle. If I were to hold this rectangle from the base, right, and push it around its top edges, if this part is fixed, this part down here, if this part is fixed from here till here, and if I push this edge towards the left side, won't we end up with a shape that looks like this? तो आप इसकी जो लेंथ थी वो अब इसको आप बेस कॉल कर रहे हैं, और जो इसकी विड्थ थी, because we cannot take a slant length, we're gonna have to take the perpendicular length inside. We're gonna call it h. The width becomes h from here, and the length becomes base. So it's base into height. Similarly, rhombus B is a transfiguration of a square. So उसका भी formula similar ही है. Now let's jump on to sector. Sector basically is a part of a circle. Part of a circle. So what would that look like? Here we go. This is a circle. What would a sector look like? If I join the end points of a certain part of the circumference to the radius, to the center, this is what a sector looks like. If I were to ask you to calculate the area of this orange part, this orange part, what are you going to do? You're going to say, okay, give me the angle theta over 360. Why 360? Because the entire angle is 360. We're only taking theta out of it. We only need to calculate the area for this much of an angle. Theta over 360 into pi r square. Now pi r square represents the area of a complete circle. So when you end up multiplying it with only theta over 360, you're saying, okay, we do not need the area of the entire circle, but only the part which is represented by this angle. This area aa jayega. How do we calculate the arc length? Arc length only refers to this purple part of the shape. That can be calculated by the similar formula theta over 360, but instead of using pi r square, जो इधर किया था, we're going to end up using 2 pi r, because 2 pi r represents the circumference or the perimeter of the entire circle. But since we only need the length for half, or not even half, only the length for the part of a circle which is represented by theta, we're going to say theta over 360 into 2 pi r. That's only going to give us this much of the length of the entire circumference. And if I were to ask you to calculate the perimeter, perimeter would basically include, I'll highlight it in the shape on the right. Starting from here, going all the way up here, the curved part, and then back to the original point. So basically the entire shape. The entire shape would give us the perimeter. If you notice, majority of the part of the formula is the same. Theta over 360 into 2 pi r. What are we adding extra? Only the part which is represented by these two radii. One from here till here, the other one from here till here. Because that was not included in the previous part, remember? So arc length plus 2 times of radius basically gives us the entire perimeter. So this was basically just 2D shapes. Now we're going to go on and do 3D shapes.